UBI for inviting me up. And it was nice to research, like protest and civil rights songs or so. And so it's amazing what Google has out there. There's hundreds of sites, top 10. Here's 2 that I found. And you know what, Bob Dylan, he's always somebody wanting to say something. So we want to say something.
And better start swimming or you sink.
I'm sure it's up there behind the lavender. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
Again, a thank you for Tim Krantz for your music tonight. Thanks so much. Just ask a quick favor of you. If you do have some room next to you, would you raise your arm up high? And folks in the back, be bold, be courageous. Grab a seat next to someone that's got their hand up, because there is some space, a couple of spaces, 2, 3, 4, half dozen or more, scooching together. That's great. So we do have room for you if you'd like to sit. We've got some up front and some in the middle on this side, and a few yet over here. So thanks so much. My name is Chris Floor. I serve here as a pastor at St. Paul Lutheran Church, and I'd like to begin with just a few announcements. And that's a reminder that after the events upstairs here, we have some wonderful, delicious food and refreshments downstairs that we hope that you would be able to stay for and join us. There are restrooms downstairs. There are restrooms on this level as well through this side door going down the hallway towards our education building. So those are available for you. There's also a table downstairs that has some information that might be of interest to you as well. This past Tuesday would have been the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 84th birthday. And one of Reverend King's quotes, especially fitting, I think, for our ongoing challenge of violence in our culture, is this, quote, "People often hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they cannot communicate. They cannot communicate because they are separated." So it is good that we gather here tonight together to share in a little time to dispel fear, to share some communication, and to just be sitting together. My opening invocation tonight is a little different. I was moved to share Reverend King's nonviolent pledge that was taken by participants before a march, before a demonstration. It serves as a reminder, I think, of Reverend King's respect of people, his practical love, and his great leadership. Here are the words. As you prepare to march, meditate on the life and teaching of Jesus. Remember, the nonviolent movement seeks justice and reconciliation, not victory. Walk and talk in the manner of love, for God is love. Pray daily to be used by God that all men and women might be free. Sacrifice personal wishes that all might be free. Observe with friends and foes the ordinary rules of courtesy. Perform regular service for others and the world. Refrain from violence of fist, tongue, and heart. Strive to be good in spiritual and bodily health. And follow the directions of the movement leaders and of the captains on demonstration. Good words to remember, to ponder, to integrate into our day-to-day life, here in this place, but wherever we are and whomever we are with. Thanks for coming tonight. It's good that we gather.
Thank you, Pastor Chris. Good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Koga, and I had the pleasure of serving on this year's MLK Planning Committee. And I am also the newest member of the team at NCBI Missoula. NCBI is a nonprofit that works to eliminate prejudice and mistreatment throughout Montana through school programs, trainings with businesses and organizations, and community events such as this very one. As is tradition, as Pastor Chris said, a community meal will follow tonight's program and will be in the lower level. Today, this country observes Martin Luther King Jr. Day for the 27th year. But really, we have observed the impact of his work and message every single day. With every voice that speaks out against an act of injustice, with every person that chooses to be an ally to those who are marginalized, and with every group that fights to make their community inclusive, welcoming, and fair to all. Recently, I've been reflecting on a quote of Reverend Dr. King's mentor, Benjamin Mays, who said, "We today stand on the shoulders of our predecessors who have gone before us. We, as their successors, must catch the torch of freedom and liberty passed on to us by our ancestors. We cannot lose in this battle." Just as Dr. King stood on the shoulders of those who came before him, we today stand on his shoulders and the shoulders of those who suffered, sacrificed, and succeeded alongside with him. While the issues we fight today may sometimes look different from history, the foundation our predecessors worked so hard to lay down deeply connects us to the past. Today, we continue the same work for generations to come. I'm so very pleased to introduce this evening's keynote speaker, Jamee Greer. Jamee has been a key supporter of NCBI for many years. He has worked with NCBI's Respect Club, our annual Diversity Day celebration, and our Montana Safe Schools Coalition partnership. Jamee has worked at the Montana Human Rights Network for 4 years. His work as a community organizer for MHRN is centered on LGBT equality, and he was lead organizer in the campaigns to pass LGBT non-discrimination protections in Missoula and Helena. Just this September, Jamee had the honor of being nominated by the Pride Foundation to travel to Washington, D.C. and attend a roundtable discussion on lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender policy with White House officials and the Obama administration. During the legislative sessions, he serves as a lobbyist for MHRN, working on policy related to reproductive and economic justice, LGBT equality, immigrant rights, and access to health care. His previous experience includes HIV and AIDS counseling, testing and prevention with the Montana Gay Men's Task Force, organizing and advocacy work through the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center, and as director of businesses for A Healthy Montana. Please help me welcome Jamee Greer.
Just the microphone. I'm used to at the Capitol always having to move it up and then move it back down when I'm done. I drove in this afternoon. We had our lobby day this morning at the Capitol. And I realized when I entered town how much I really do miss Missoula. I lived here for a few years. I miss the river. I miss the walking trails. I miss Charlie B's. I miss the Orange Street Food Farm. I miss Butterfly Herbs. I miss being able to easily recycle plastic. I love the fact that this community strives to make itself better. That you understand how this community can serve as a light for other places around the state, and that in that role you take, and I want to call it illuminated and prophetic sometimes, things that happen here, you also serve as a lightning rod. But I think most of all, I'm just really glad to not be at the Montana Capitol right now, not wearing my suit, and not looking at a bunch of legislators, respectfully. Those of you who've been up there or been following the press or follow me on social media know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm made aware with crystal clarity every legislative session that Martin Luther King Jr. Day is not really recognized with any sense of reverence by many of our state lawmakers, but this year more so than ever. This is my third Martin Luther King Jr. Day working as a lobbyist for the Montana Human Rights Network, and I've learned that I can still expect to be called to the legislature's more tense committees that meet daily and very early in the morning, even on days of reflection and remembrance like today. Committees like Judiciary and State Administration, where bills discussing some of the most heated issues of our times are heard: lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender equality, issues like who should be allowed to vote and how, issues like whether or not we should welcome new communities of immigrants with open arms or arms crossed, issues running a wide spectrum of topics about race, gender, class, issues of privilege, often debated by those who hold the privilege that they're so quick to deny others. And I was more aware of today being Martin Luther King Jr. Day because of what I was walking into. Specifically today, two bills were being discussed at the Montana Capitol, one a step forward and the other a step back. One would berate, dehumanize, and discourage new immigrant communities in our state. It would write into our code language that separates and others those who've come here to make a better life for themselves and their families. A heinous attempt at staving off a threat that does not exist and seeks to burrow itself into our state code in the form of a racist law. And it sullies the code that binds us as a people. Our law is a language that can sometimes be beautiful in how it seeks its fairness and applies its justice. But in this case, it's contorted, it's sickly, and it's vile. And it's a bill that passed last legislative session, mostly along party lines, and met its death at the hands of the governor's fiery brand that I think many people remember. This is the fourth legislature where we've seen a significant and intentional assault on new immigrant communities in our state, and we've been able to table almost 36 of these bills, either in committee or on the floor or at the hands of the governor. And this history of pushing back and standing up for inclusion and fairness and winning more often than not gives me a lot of hope. The other bill was much more optimistic. It was a bill to remove language from our state code, unconstitutional and archaic language, that labels gays and lesbians felons under the law, punishable of fines up to $50,000 and up to 10 years in jail. A bill that dates back decades to a time when few, even on the left, wanted to carry it, much less vote for it, but save for a Missoula lawmaker. And that tradition of Missoula lawmakers leading the way for equality in the legislature carries on through to today. And you can be proud of your state senator, Senator Tom Facey, for carrying this bill again this session. And we're hopeful, and we have real reasons to be hopeful, that this bill is going to pass. And should it pass, it'll be the first explicit victory for the lesbian, gay, bi, and transgender community through the legislative process at the state level. It hasn't passed yet. So, as I entered the Capitol this morning, I knew that it wasn't just any Monday morning, and I knew it wasn't just any Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but a unique one that was bookended with many different emotions. This one step forward, one step back, two-step that is progress. We have to remind ourselves of those steps forward, and we have to celebrate them. They are energy, and they are sustenance for all of us. They are food. And on days of remembrance and reverence and service, well, that's our time to come together and share a meal. Listening to the hearings and meetings and testimony at the Capitol, I often think of the words of Dr. King that were actually already shared, that men often hate each other because they fear each other, and they fear each other because they don't know each other. Perhaps these two issues discussed at the Montana legislature today show just how much we can accomplish by revealing ourselves, by taking the risk of coming out, by educating one another, and by just trying to get to know one another. Another example of this all happened right here in this community just a couple years ago. Missoula proved itself a place for other communities in the state to look up to when it passed the Missoula Anti-Discrimination Ordinance in 2010, which was carried by City Council members Stacy Rye and Dave Strohmeyer. During that campaign, I know many of you will remember the attacks directed at the transgender community through a tactic known to us as bathroom panic, which plants a suggestion into people's heads that transgender people are a threat in certain public spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms, when the reality is that transgender people face a far greater likelihood of being bullied and beaten and even murdered by the hands of cisgender or non-trans members of our community. And I remember it building into a sort of hysteria that continued building and building until the final hearing and vote before the City Council. But for me, looking back as an organizer on that campaign to pass the ordinance, the campaign reached its crescendo at a public event called Everybody Matters: Dignity and Safety for Trans People. Several out trans members of our community were joined by an advocate from the ACLU of Montana on a panel moderated by NCBI's Ami Thurber. And we expected 30 people and found ourselves in a standing room only space of almost 80. Panelists shared stories of hope and fear and sought to build an understanding of their experiences as trans people, and also maybe a resolution to the feeling that an element of our community that we had trusted turned against us. Trans activist, disability rights attorney, and dear friend of mine, Bobby Zanker, talked about her experiences as a panelist that evening in her book, Trans Montana. She goes on to say, "It was a palpable feeling throughout the room of 70 people or so. The Missoula Police Department had hired an officer as a liaison between the police and the LGBT community, who spoke as well. I was deeply moved by the humanity I witnessed. It was a glimpse of how an accepting community works, intent on love and support rather than judgment and condemnation. A person whose thinking and actions are devoted to the latter cannot possibly be filled with the former." Personally, I think about that evening's event often when I need to find strength in a moment of tension in the policy world. And I want to say thank you to the people who participated that evening by giving me that. I think about that evening's message of love and support as a reminder that so many of us fundamentally share the same values. We are all capable of love, and we all seek love. We all want to love our family and friends. We want to be healthy and secure and educated. We want to see our children succeed and our elders taken care of. We want to live our lives with dignity. And I think Montanans, far and wide, agree that fair is fair. And it didn't just stop with this ordinance in Missoula. Those values we all share translate into winning other victories in other communities, statewide. We've seen such incredible progress and movement towards equality and fairness in this state. The capital city, Helena, just passed the second non-discrimination ordinance just a month ago by a unanimous vote. 100,000 Montanans, 1 in 10, now have legal protection in buying or renting a home, legal protection in the workplace, and also in most public accommodations, based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. The sponsor of this ordinance, a young mother, Commissioner Catherine Hawk-Houserath, ran on these values that ordinances seek to uphold and handily won her election. Montana's Senator Baucus and Tester voted for the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, giving members of our armed services the chance to live authentic and open lives while they fight for our country. Senator Baucus went a step further and endorsed full marriage equality, an evolution from previous votes and positions that he had taken in the past that impacted lesbian, gay, bi, and transgender individuals and families. The Montana Democratic Party endorsed full marriage equality and called for the ban on marriage to be repealed, while the Montana Republican Party took the long-debated step forward of eliminating language in the party plank calling for gays and lesbians to be treated as felons under the law. Nationwide in 2012, we saw our president endorse full marriage equality, the first sitting president to ever do so. And while I'm a firm believer that the majority should never decide the rights of a minority by popular vote, there were real reasons for us to celebrate ballot measures that had an impact on lesbian, gay, bi, and transgender Americans. 4 states became the first states to win marriage-related ballot questions, with 3 of those states, Maine, Maryland, and Washington, now marrying same-sex couples, and Minnesota rejecting a ban on same-sex marriage that was similar to the ban Montanans passed in 2004. Minnesota was the first of 31 states to reject one of these amendments. It was a monumental evening. And finally, maybe what's most important and least understood and maybe not talked about as much, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission ruled last year that many transgender and gender non-conforming people across America can seek legal recourse if they face discrimination on the job through gender-based protections enacted under the Civil Rights Act, a piece of policy that the man who brings us here today fought hard to enact. So if I'm going to break down this process of progress into a dance metaphor like I just did earlier, I think it's fair to say that LGBT people have dominated that dance floor in the last year. It's been an exciting time, be it local, statewide, or national. In September, I was invited along with about 40 other activists from around the country to a special event at the White House. The day was billed as a policy roundtable, and much to my relief, it wasn't like a small table with a bunch of people sitting around it and White House officials, but it was more like an auditorium, and the table in front of us rotated basically. Different panelists came on throughout the course of the morning, and we got to hear updates from some amazing people in the administration. Participants who were invited from across the country were diverse, although heavily they represented more populated and urban areas. Those of us representing the middle and twangy rural states, we seem to gravitate and cling towards one another all day. And that morning, after hopping off the bus from my friend Andrea's, where I'd been sleeping on her couch for this trip, I found a spot at a coffee shop and took some time to write in my journal. I wrote, "I'm a queer activist from the Rocky Mountain West, the son of an immigrant, the son of a stalwart, smashing rocks inside a gravel pit to keep me fed. I'm the brother of an entrepreneur. I'm riding mass transit to visit the home of the nation's first black president, while I've got a hole worn through the sole of my shoe, and I'm living off credit lines that are sewn in my pockets. You are so very far from perfect, but I can see what all the fuss is about, America." And so very far from perfect indeed. The morning kicked off with a staff member recounting the history of Frank Kameny. Frank Kameny was fired from his job after becoming one of the many victims of the Lavender Scare, the purge of gays and lesbians from government jobs in the late 1940s through the 1950s. Thousands of gays and lesbians, real and imagined, lost their jobs or were denied their jobs. Mr. Kameny was fired simply for being a homosexual with no real means of appealing the decision, despite his eminent qualifications and his fine record otherwise. But he fought it, and he fought hard, and he took funding to become a professional activist for equality, forming one of the first gay and lesbian rights groups in our country's history. He brought on legal challenge to the firing after legal challenge, all while working for equality on other fronts, like helping push the American Psychological Association to end the classification of homosexuality as a disorder. Mr. Kameny had to continue that fight for decades, and his ultimate goal of discrimination against gays receiving security clearances in our government didn't end until 1995. With rapt attention from the entire room, the man telling the story of Mr. Kameny's life was John Barry, an out gay man and director of the Office of Personnel Management. Now, it would be the same government office from which Mr. Kameny had been informed of his termination in the 1950s. Mr. Barry made it clear that he owes the fact that he received his security clearance and ability to attain that rank as a public servant to Mr. Kameny's legacy. And it was with tears in my eyes I realized I was watching a man give us an example of what we get when we stand on the shoulders of those who've come before us. The shoulders of Frank Kemeny and Baird Western, Helen Keller, Jeanette Rankin, of the abolitionists and the suffragists, the American Indian leaders, the first and second and third waivers, the Quakers, and the shoulders of the next generation, of people like Denise Juneau and her mother, Senator Carol Juneau, of Missoula's Representative Bryce Bennett, and Missoula City Council member Caitlin Koppel. There's so many. And today, all of us in this room, we come together and we stand on the shoulders of one man in particular that has taught us so much about peace and faith and justice and fairness, about power and about love. Dr. King said, what is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. And these two beautiful sentences taped on a wall above my desk in Helena and written into notebooks time and time again. These two sentences have left such an indelible mark on my heart and soul as a gay politico, and as a gay activist, and as a gay man. And they just say so much. And there's no other way for me to close the speech tonight than by saying them. I want to thank everybody so much for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you to NCBI's Ami Thurber for extending the invitation for me to be here. And when we talk about shoulders to stand on, Ami, you're one of the rocks for the community, for sure. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And now I am pleased to introduce the St. Ignatius Dance Troupe. The St. Ignatius Dance Troupe was founded 4 years ago under the direction of Native American Studies teachers Eileen Plant and Geraldine Felix. The troupe's mission is to share and promote Native American culture through singing and dance demonstrations. The group has performed for audiences throughout the state and for ambassadors from all over the world. The troupe is spearheaded by spiritual leader and drummer Ben Correll, and most recently hosted a cultural exchange with Frenchtown, inviting second grade classes to visit and partake in a dance demonstration. We are so honored to have the St. Ignatius Dance Troupe perform for us tonight. Please help me welcome them.
Thank you very much for everybody being here tonight. It's an honor through Mrs. Battlecheck and the group that invited us here to participate. And as part of our cultural and our ways to honor, like we said, Mr. King and all the others that represented a lot of stuff in the movements that they have did. Like we say over at the park, and we said there too, it's a little honor that we do this, and we always say prayer and stuff before we commence on our things, because it's all about the youth and our elderly today that's focused on a lot of things. Without our elderlies, we can't get our knowledge and our wisdom and experience that's handed down to the younger generation coming forth. A lot of them today never seen or heard what Mr. King has said and did in his time, which some of us did, and seen the virtues of the problems that came down with a lot of heartaches that came with a lot of things that was pronounced and did in the radical ways of the justice system. But like we say in our ways, we honor all of them because the main thing is the love from our heart to the people. Nothing more than that. Like I said, that's the greatest thing that we can hand a person, or give them that hug that everybody needs now and then. So from our dance troupe coming up, we're going to have an honor song, which my son will start off. Then we'll do a little bit of exhibitions for you folks in honor of what we're here for and the things that are coming in our future. Thank you. our grand entry. Now we'll follow with the honor victory song that follows after the grand entry. And then we have a prayer. Give us this evening that what we've been doing and cherishing in the honor of kings, things that he has honored through the people and our dancers, the people that came and traveled, to the ones that are participating in a lot of things that due to the things that we're doing here today and through the day and through the night. Watch over everybody, take care of their homes while they're away, watch them when they go home, and take care of the things that are out there. And again, in honor of our dance troupe of St. Ignatius High School, we thank you for us being here tonight. Thank you. Amen. And now we'll have an exhibition from our girl dancers. First, we have all jingle dress dancers. We have two traditional style dancers from our two elderly ladies that are there, that are with us, and we have one fancy dancer and one traditional boy dancer. So tonight we're just going to give you guys a little episode of our lady dancers. Take it away, drum. Most of the years, the jingles that you see on the dresses have changed through the years when the traders came through with the mountain men and started bringing shells and stuff as tin to trade for the things that the Indians used throughout the time. They traveled throughout the Northwest and the Pacific Northwest, from ocean to ocean, bringing all kinds of fabric from the Middle East that the Indians started trading as blankets and different shoes of feathers and beadwork. Because we got English beads, we got all kinds of beadwork that the Indians that would dress due to the things of the faculty of the families. Again, if there was a death, honor, marriage, anything that was significant to represent what was the honor of the movements and the dances. Represented through time, and the dress styles all changed through the years. The dresses all was handed down and borrowed from different tribes, handed through different reservations. Also, we got one traditional style lady sitting over by our other family members against the wall, that she has a style of like the Crow and the Shawnee and Nez Perce wear outfits of buffalo shells and different things. If she could stand up and show the outfit, what we're talking about, they dressed them up. In some of the movies you see, this is what the styles were from the Pacific Northwest through Montana. Crow, Blackfeet, Cheyenne, Arapaho. They used bones and stuff, the teeth of the elk. That's what most native maidens wore in their regalia outfits, up to our traditional buckskin, elk skin outfits that were handed down through. So you have different styles of dresses in representing different styles of dancing and what they participate in. And from the younger generation to our elderly ladies, to our grandmas, to our moms, then we have different style of dress codes that they wear in the styles. Also, we have our young man here as our fancy dancer. This is what the fancy dancers wear in their fancy dance, meaning they can make all kind of movements in their dance, the fanciest that person can do, splits, round, whatever like an athlete can do in any kind of sports. His beadwork from head to toe is all shiny. The regalia is where it can whip around and move all kinds of things. It's just a sparkly outfit, looking pretty, fancy. That's why we call it the fancy dance. And then we have our grandson, who's a traditional, dressed the traditional way of our Native Americans. Some have it in this style, meaning this represents our honor of our elders, our veterans, the elders of the ones who don't fancy dance no more. They moved down the bracket, so they got this kind. We got the chiefs, honorary persons or people in the tribes that are fully regaliaed with the war bonnets you see, and the buckskin from head to toe, fully buckskin. And those are our, like the chiefs, and like we say, honorary people, cultural people of the tribes. So right now we're gonna have both of our, we're gonna have our fancy dancer do a special, then our traditional young man for you guys tonight. So this is what our fancy dance looks like. Take it away. And a lot of the outfits, the regalias are also, like we say, represented by things, either also by dreams and stuff that the chief or the medical profession of the tribal people, their shamans, or their shaman women, because there wasn't just men alone. That's why it was an equal opportunity in a lot of things, because the women had a lot to share also in the things that we had to harvest and do and etc. through the tribes. So some of these outfits that are made and used throughout a lot of tribes and cultures is due to helping the spirit, helping the people, helping the tribe. That's what a lot of these dances were about. Like a lot of them see on the movies, you hear of the war dance. The war dance was not to make war. The war dance was made to honor those who come back from war, just like our veterans today. A lot of them didn't know that. It was, like we say, misinterpreted in a lot of things that made a lot of difference in the time. And also when they did do the war dance, like we have powwows here in Arlee, right here at our college. There's a powwow, meaning again, they were also honoring or helping the people that needed the help in the tribes or other tribal members. There was always difficult things going on, but it always narrowed down to one thing: love your neighbor. Our next dance is our traditional dancer, and our grandson, our only one right now that we have that travels with us, but he's going to do a small traditional dance that all our elderly men, like we say, to our veterans, do and use these kind of regalias. Thank you. Take it away, Bill. From the veterans, and we have eagle feathers on a lot of the outfits, and also with our women, the women folk. If any kind of feather fell on the floor, then we'd have honorary men from the war come up, and there'd be 4 of them dancing around this feather till the drum stopped. When the drum stopped, whoever the veteran was that picked up that feather, he had to tell what happened to him in battle, and if why and how he survived his initial attack or whatever that was. And then the person who dropped the feather would pay the drum singers and pay the persons that helped him pick up his spirit again, so that way it wouldn't be laying wherever he dropped it. That's a little wrap up of our little dancing for you folks. What we're going to do now, because of our time, we're going to have the drummers sing what we call a Home Sweet Home and let them get off the stage, so the next thing that goes on in our presentations of doing tonight can continue. Again, our ending of our little dance here, they will dance off the stage, and thank you very much for being here and having us here with you folks.
Thank you so much to the St. Ignatius Dance Troupe for being so generous with their time to share this performance with all of us. And now we get to the part of tonight's celebration that I know some young people have been eagerly waiting for. Every year, the Missoulian newspaper and the UM Excellence Fund join the MLK committee in sponsoring an essay and art contest for students to showcase their creativity and thoughts in response to a quote of Dr. King. The artwork and essays of the contest winners have been published in today's copy of the Missoulian. This year's contest received an unprecedented number of entries, over 500 in total. As a result, this was quite possibly the most challenging year for the judging committee. A new category was added this year to include preschool through 2nd grade, and the other categories remain the same: 3rd through 5th grade, 6th through 8th, and 9th through 12th. Although the committee could only pick a limited number of awards, I want to honor and recognize all who entered this contest. The committee was truly inspired and in awe at the incredible talent and vision of our community's young people. So thank you. So I'm first going to announce the winners of the art portion of the contest, and I'd like for them to come up sort of to this middle part of the stage to receive their award. And you'll also be able to see the winning artwork projected to my right. So for the 3rd place winners in the following categories, in 9th through 12th grade, the winner was Tavia Noel Walloween. In 6th through 8th grade, Phoebe Audio. In 3rd through 5th grade, Olivia Price. And in pre through 2nd grade, Cassidy Christine Kurgan. Applause on it. You can just set them aside. The 2nd place winners in the following categories are: in 9th through 12th grade, Emily Feld. In 6th through 8th grade, Levi Alexander. In 3rd through 5th grade, Maggie Gibbons. In pre through 2nd grade, Danica Sleeping Bear. Congratulations. So now I'll announce the 1st place winners. The 1st place winners in the following categories are: in 9th through 12th grade, we have a tie: Melody Deniza and Maxine Beard. In sixth, congratulations. In 6th through 8th grade, Coogan Jones. In 3rd through 5th grade, Abigail Laurel Baldwin. We've got to make sure that everybody gets their award. This is serious business. And I already announced, yep, Abigail Laurel Baldwin, and in pre through 2nd grade, Lily Trotter. And now for the essay winners. Also, please come up to receive your award when your name is called. So in 3rd place, the 3rd place winners in the following categories. In 9th grade, there was also a tie. Chase Koenig and Tessa Garrison. In 6th through 8th grade, Ingrid Beal. And in 3rd through 5th grade, we have another tie. Colin Baker, Mildis Wilson, and Simone Fielding. And the 2nd place winners in the following categories are in 9th through 12th grade, Nate Smith. In 6th through 8th grade, Ava Kazemi. And in 3rd through 5th grade, Miles Partain. And now for the 1st place winners. Each winner for this category will be reading their essay for you all, and I'll be inviting them up one at a time. So the 1st place winner in 9th through 12th grade is Stella Shannon.
Hello, thank you everyone. I'm sick, so hopefully I'll be able to get through reading this. Okay. Yellow, red, blue, crimson, magenta, emerald, orange. A 5-year-old looks with satisfaction at her fingers, steeped in paint. With a great arc, she triumphantly leaps across the easel, apathetic to the fact that she paints no shape or form. Shameless at the gross mixture of colors that join together despite the forbiddance of the status quo. Orange inside gray, pink caressing green, yellow welcoming brown. They stand there, proud, as does the 5-year-old marveling at her chocolate pudding hands. No, she is scolded. Didn't you listen to the directions? We are working only with primary colors. We are mixing only pretty things together. But why can't any color go with any color it wants, she wonders, quite distraught at this first diminishment of her justice. As she grows, she sees the colors discern themselves. The categories emerge, the lid slowly hinging shut. She is to be an individual, but she is not to hang her paper long ways when the rest of the class hangs theirs sideways. She is to be inquisitive, but she is not to ask the questions for which she truly wants the answers. She is to hear, but not to listen, to care but not to show passion, ambition. She is to be amicable and conversational and interesting, but she is not to be outspoken, driven, shameless. She is not to go out with green when she is pink. When suddenly she finds herself sitting, hardly so, and dull with gray, confined as she has been to those rules of finger painting. Yellow, red, blue, crimson, magenta, emerald, orange. She is 75 and she looks at her fingers with satisfaction and rubs them on her face and down her neck and across her raisin stomach, along her thighs and calves and in between her toes, and then back again to her sides and her hair until she is striped with everything that was forbidden her for so long. It is not the jars that contain us, she sings out to her easel, but the staying in them that does. We must realize this before we allow their lids to be shut, little by little. And she is asked one day what she would tell her younger self if she were to go back in time. Justice denied anywhere is justice denied everywhere, she replies, and strolls away arm in arm with green, even though she is none other than pink. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. The first place winner in 6th through 8th grade is Gavin Mercado.
My poem is called I Am From. I am from a poor mom, from all generic brands of survival. Her time-worn hands, soaked in the bleach that made life shine. I am from the son of California's poorest homes, whose boards were made refuge by toilsome termites and mold and my mother's laugh. I am from my pencil, sketches, expression, drawings and stories that she wallpapered our home with pride. I am art, confidence, and adoration. The prayers my mother wept like wilting petals from thorns and life. Dark brown eyes, black Spanish hair, Puerto Rican pride. A backyard littered with glee, my trampoline and my brothers like me. I am from jubilant love and praise. I am a gift, a Spanish melody, and my mom's Irish jigs. I am from poverty and love, like stained linen on the clothesline, clinging to the last pin. I am treat others as you want to be treated, leftovers and soggy noodles, but not hunger. I am from candy, flavors that linger on my tongue, so sweet. I am the vibrations of chaos, arguments, festivals. A home stuttered with clatter, 6 kids, and a dirty van, cramped. I am from a memory and a future of 10,000 photos that jumble the walls of my home, that tell me every day I am beautiful and poor. Martin Luther King Jr. The time is always right to do what is right. I will take everything I have given in life and thrive, jump high, soar, and splatter my paint and lime, and be kind and do what is right. Thank you.
The first place winner in 3rd through 5th grade is McKenna Alec. Would you please come up here, McKenna?
Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, and that dream was to have African American people get treated equally. He is my role model because I'm the only black child in my class. My best friend is in the other class, and she is black too. I think celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday is really important because it teaches people to be kind to everyone, no matter what they look like or what their beliefs are. Doing this project teaches people how much Martin Luther King Jr. did for America.
And finally, the first place winner for the pre through second grade is Lucy Reed. You want to come up here, Lucy?
Martin Luther King Jr. Benny, my little brother, was born on the same month as Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. wants peace. And I had a dream that there would be no bullies, and I think some of his dream came true. Most people are nice, but unicorns, Pegasuses, and fairies don't get treated well because everyone thinks they're not real.
So once again, congratulations to all the contest winners, and thank you to everyone who participated. Now I want to take a moment to thank and recognize all of our event sponsors and partners, which you can find listed inside of your program. I want to thank the Book Exchange for providing some of the awards and the books that will be for sale by donation downstairs during the social. I'd especially like to thank St. Paul's Lutheran Church and Pastor Chris Floor for providing this wonderful space. And thank you to tonight's volunteers and performers who have generously donated their time and talent. I also want to recognize the MLK Day Planning Committee. This is a dedicated group of volunteers who have worked for months to plan the successful event. Without them, this event would not have happened. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge this year's committee chair and AmeriCorps Vista, Ben Minks. If the committee members could please stand to be recognized and appreciated for your hard work. The MLK Planning Committee is led by NCBI Missoula. NCBI is the first and only organization in Montana empowering community members with the skills to tackle all forms of oppression. It's not free to put on an event of this scale, and although our volunteers, speakers, and performers have generously donated their time, there are still costs to ensure this event is celebrated each year. Before we end with our last music performance, you'll notice some volunteers will be passing the hat. Any contribution is greatly appreciated and will help cover the expenses of this event. Any additional contributions will directly support NCBI programs to end prejudice and mistreatment throughout Montana. To close the evening, we are thrilled to welcome up Amy Martin and the Wild Things to lead us in song.
And then also some parts Jamie was talking about, which was just so beautiful, where I looked behind me in the Wilma and everybody in the entire, Wilma was singing this kind of peace and freedom song at the top of their lungs, and it was one of those moments where I was like, I love Missoula! So this has just also 4 words that are super easy, and then they go, it's just, I hear them all. Can you say that? I hear them all. And it's actually written, this first part was written by David Rollins and Catch Seaport from Old Crow Medicine Show, and then there's 2 parts. For people who want to do harmony, it goes, I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. You want to do that? I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. And if you want to do it higher, you can go, I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. I hear them all, I hear them all, I hear them all. Awesome. So you'll hear it when it comes.
Martin and the Wild Things.